a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever it's here.
In his lifeline, we pressing on, they were hurting. Tweedly, 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 do.
To pledge ourselves whatever befalls, to pledge unfailing loyalty. Our hearts are with thee, dear William and Mary, however far we stray. Our noble college, hear us now, thy children sing to thee today. Dear college, old in years and fame, and richly old in honors too, time shall not dull the shining name, whose gleam our songs will e'er renew. And as years go by, dear William and Mary, thy fame will never cease, but each new year rejoice to see thy children's praise to thee increase. We honor thee not for our gain, but to make known thy majesty, thy truth and courage that remain, however harsh the fates may be. As through troublous years, dear William and Mary, our country fought, so thou hast fought, and won and lived to hear thy children singing to thee now. O thou our guardian and our guide, renew our courage every hour, and keep thy spirit by our side, to aid us with its watchful power. Throughout all our lives, dear William and Mary, we pledge our loyalty. Dear college, now and evermore, thy children cry all hail to thee. Beneath thy trees, within thy halls, dear college, we give praise to thee, to pledge ourselves whatever befalls, to pledge unfailing loyalty. Our hearts are with thee, dear William and Mary, however far we stray. Our noble college, hear us now, thy children sing to thee today. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
Please sit. William and Mary family and friends, welcome to Charter Day 2016. We've gathered to celebrate the college's 323rd birthday. Let's begin by saluting the disciplines that emerged on our campus in 1779 through dramatic changes to the curriculum spurred by Thomas Jefferson when he was governor of Virginia and a member of our Board of Visitors. These 1779 disciplines were classical studies, law, mathematics, modern languages, philosophy, and physics. All of them are still robustly alive and well at William and Mary today. Faculty members representing the original masters in these disciplines, please stand, and we will applaud. King William and Queen Mary granted a royal charter to the college in a drafty London palace on February the 8th, 1693. As is our annual habit, we now revisit the college's seminal document. William and Mary students will read excerpts from the charter. Then Emily Nye, class of 2016, will share her reflections on the charter. And after Emily speaks, the choir will sing, Then I Will Return.
William and Mary, by the grace of God, of England, Scotland, France, and Ireland, King and Queen, defenders of the faith, etc., to all to whom these are present, letters shall come, greeting.
For as much as our well-beloved and faithful subjects, constituting the General Assembly of our colony of Virginia, have had it in their minds and have proposed to themselves to the end that the Church of Virginia may be furnished with a seminary of ministers of the gospel, and that the youth may be piously educated in good letters and manners, and that the Christian faith may be propagated amongst the Western Indians to the glory of Almighty God.
To make, found, and establish a certain place of universal study or perpetual college of divinity, philosophy, languages, and other good arts and sciences, consisting of 1 president, 6 masters or professors, and an 100 scholars more or less, to be supported and maintained for all time coming.
And for as much as our well-beloved and trustee, the General Assembly of our colony of Virginia, aforesaid, has humbly supplicated us, by our well-beloved in Christ, James Blair, clerk, their agent duly constituted, that we would be pleased not only to grant our royal license, but also to extend our royal bounty and munificence towards the erection and foundation of the said college in such way and manner as to us shall seem most expedient.
And being desirous that forever hereafter there should be one such college, or place of universal study, in some certain and undoubted way within the said college, for the rule and government of the same, and of the masters or professors and scholars and all other inhabiting and residing therein, and that the said college should subsist and remain an all-time coming of our special grace.
That they may have the power to erect, found, and establish a certain place of universal study or perpetual college for divinity, philosophy, languages, and other good arts and sciences, consisting of 1 president, 6 masters or professors, and 100 scholars, more or less, graduates and non-graduates, as above said, according to the statutes and orders of the said college, to be made, appointed, and established on the south side of the York River, on the land now in the possession of John Smith, to continue for all times coming.
And further we will, and for us, our heirs and successors, by these presents do grant that the said college shall be so erected, made, founded, and established. It shall be called and denominated forever the College of William and Mary in Virginia.
In testimony whereof, we have caused these, our letters, to be made patent. Witness ourselves at Westminster, the 8th day of February, in the 4th year of our reign, by writ of the Privy Seal.
For me, William and Mary has always been about the stories. As a writer, I've spent most of my life looking through the lens of Once Upon a Time, following the tales of brave warriors, kings, and queens as they battled evil in my favorite childhood stories. It only seemed fitting then that 18 years later, I would end up at a school straight out of my favorite books. For William and Mary, Once Upon a Time began 323 years ago with a king and a queen with a vision for excellence. With their signing of one simple piece of paper, they set into motion the events that would lead one institution through 323 years of incredible stories. Since 1693, William and Mary has launched thousands of Once Upon a Times and fostered the beginnings of stories whose characters went on to become U.S. presidents, late-night comedians, NFL coaches, and Golden Globe award-winning actresses. Sometimes, I try to imagine what my own story would be like had King William and Queen Mary not taken the fateful steps to create the university that I have come to love so much. For many, the entrance to college marks a fresh chapter in their lives, and for me, William and Mary's chapter is as vivid as its storied history. It is at this university that I met the friends that I will keep for the rest of my life, my story's characters, if you will. It is at this university that I forged the late-night memories that one day I will tell my own children, my story's plot. It is at this university that I truly learned the meaning of what it means to be one tribe, one family, my story's lesson. It is also at this university that I was inspired to pursue my own personal dreams of storytelling, where at a small table in my freshman dorm, Hunt Hall, I wrote the first chapter of my first novel, which now, 3 years later, is finished and ready for publication. William and Mary is the place where I rediscovered my own identity as a writer, and the entity that inspired my own story to finally take flight. Ask anyone, students, professors, administrators, and they will all say the same thing. There is something about William and Mary that inspires people to not only lead great lives, but to tell great stories. People come here to this historic school, each with their own tale, and together, the thousands of tribe voices weave together to form one incredibly powerful and unique narrative. I feel truly honored to be able to include my own voice and story within that of William and Mary's. I can't wait to see what stories the next 323 years bring, and while I know they might not include any fire-breathing dragons or goblins or trolls, I know for certain they will be unlike any others told before. Happy Charter Day, William and Mary.
Every time I feel the Spirit in my heart, yes, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit in my heart, yes, I will pray.
Thank you, Emily and choir, for those inspiring words and inspiring music. William & Mary has over 95,000 living alumni spread across all 50 states in the United States and the District of Columbia, plus 111 other countries and 6 continents, all but Antarctica, and we once had an alumnus in Antarctica, who I am reasonably assured left before freezing, though not completely sure. The Alumni Medallion is the highest honor the William & Mary Alumni Association bestows on a graduate of the college. It is a very big deal. Honorees are chosen for extraordinarily distinguished service. Let me name those who will be honored at tomorrow's ceremony. Glenmore Harding, class of 1965. Jane Kaplan, class of 1956. Walter Stout, class of 1964. And Ann Yonkers, class of 1963. Glenn, Jane, Pete, Ann, please stand and bask in our acclaim. Everyone, all of us, warmly invited to the medallion ceremonies tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in Sadler. All right, everyone, we come now to the 24th Chancellor of William & Mary and our alumnus, class of 1965, the Honorable Robert M. Gates. As we all know, Bob Gates had a brilliant career in public service, culminating in his time as United States Secretary of Defense. Now let's think back for a moment, half a century, to early fall 1961. Young Gates made his way from Kansas to the colonial capital to begin his studies at the alma mater of the nation. He needed a scholarship to help make William & Mary financially feasible for him and his family. He also had to earn money to help foot the bills, so he drove a school bus full of Williamsburg and James City kids, whom he tamed. It's profoundly in the national interest that people like Chancellor Gates be able to afford a college, a splendid college, where they'll be taught by professors of great ability who actually know their students by name, who care about them, want to help them realize their potential, and where students live and learn on a residential campus amid peers of serious ability and ambition. That's why, as you all know, our most pressing philanthropic need at William & Mary these days is to grow our scholarship endowments, lest young people of great ability but very limited means not be able to learn and grow amid the riches of a William & Mary education. Mr. Chancellor, welcome back to campus. We are yours.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you all. When I retired as CIA director, in a number of interviews, I was asked, what was the most dangerous job you ever had? I said, that's easy. I umpired Little League Baseball and I drove a school bus. It is always a pleasure to be back at William & Mary. As we wade deeper into the election season, Williamsburg offers a delightful reminder of a time when people with starkly contrasting views worked together for the good of the country. They, of course, had a motivational advantage lacking in modern times: the risk of being hung for treason if things didn't work out. It's amazing what can be accomplished for the common good when our leaders govern as if their lives depend upon it and not merely their livelihood. Charter Day is a momentous occasion, one where we pause to celebrate yet another year in the college's long life. It's a reminder of a time when leaders, two reigning monarchs and their subjects in a distant colony, united behind a certain place of universal study and the belief that higher education would do great good in the new world. A unified belief still guides this university today, that a William and Mary education, one grounded in the liberal arts, will do great good in a constantly changing world. William and Mary has been and is a place for the bold, and as we campaign for the alma mater of a nation, I'm a passionate advocate for scholarships. My brother and I were the first in the history of our family to attend college, and it was scholarships that made it possible for me, a kid from Kansas, to come here. Scholarships put a William and Mary education within reach for generations of bold students yet to come. Each of us should consider how we can make a difference at William and Mary through scholarships. I'd like to add my congratulations to everyone being honored at this ceremony and throughout the weekend, particularly Dr. Stofan and Professor Edwards. The accolades for all are well deserved. Thank you.
Since 1756, when Benjamin Franklin was awarded an honorary Master of Arts, College of William and Mary has recognized lives of powerful accomplishment through conferral of honorary degrees. For the first time today in our long history of conferring such degrees, we will celebrate our two marvelous recipients via video. And we fervently hope the videos will run. A written account of their glories appears in the program. Following each video, Rector Stottlemyre and Chancellor Gates will award the honorary degree. So roll the first video.
I would describe Jack as incredibly diligent, conscientious servant of the college and of the community he's part of. But during the time he was a faculty member, a department chair, and dean, it was a career of commitment to this institution and its improvement.
By the time I became a dean, I had quite a bit of experience that enabled me to understand what faculty members thought about and areas in which they wanted to participate. One of the good things for me in my career was I had the opportunity during that time in the dean's office to help bring about some of the things that I thought were important when I went in.
I think that if you look at Jack's accomplishments at William and Mary, among the things that he would probably take great pride in is the way in which we did devote ourselves to undergraduate teaching. We're a college where the great emphasis is on individual contact between student and faculty, and Jack was a leader in that regard.
He was always somebody who recognized that there were different kinds of intelligence. At the same time, he was somebody who always, in his teaching, recognized that you could do better than you thought you could and wanted you to understand that you could do better than you thought you could. I think that standard is a classical William and Mary way of teaching, and that's something that Jack had in his classroom, and I hope most of us still maintain today.
The word that I would use particularly for when I came to William and Mary was potential. It seems to me much of that potential has been realized by the college, but it appears to me that the college has become a place that I very much hoped in the 1960s it might become.
Jack, please.
Dr. Edwards, yours is a career spent studying the nuances of American government and a life spent applying the lessons learned for the betterment of your community. As a teacher, scholar, dean, elected official, and even as an avid lawn bowler, you have made William & Mary a stronger university and Greater Williamsburg a stronger community by your presence in their midst.
Jack D. Edwards, for a career full of accomplishment, the university is proud to honor you. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the ancient royal charter of the College of William & Mary in Virginia, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
When we first met, she already knew she wanted to be a planetary geologist. She had known that since she was about 14. Her father was at NASA, her mother was a science teacher, she was a geologist. It all kind of came together. Where she's ended up kind of totally fits with where she started.
She is incredibly eloquent and incredibly enthusiastic, and that comes across when she's talking to people about NASA's mission, and she wants people to understand how exciting it can be.
Through the work she does and others as well, space has become important again, I think, to the American public. We are explorers, and Ellen is part of helping to reignite our interest in exploring.
I was one of the first people to look at new images of the surface of Venus, a planet we'd never seen the surface before, and that thrill of saying, I'm exploring a new world. I got that same feeling again when we got our first images back of Titan, when we saw that there were actually these seas of liquid on the surface of Titan. You have these really amazing moments where you say, I'm exploring, and to me that embodies the most exciting part of what I do.
Dr. Stofan, yours is of life unbound by the terra firma of Earth. Not even this solar system or galaxy restrain your pursuit of answers to the mysteries of the universe. Your work informs us about our closest planetary neighbors and reveals the composition of planets light years away from our own. New generations of scientists are inspired by you. William & Mary is grateful, as are all of your fellow alumni, for your continuing service to our university and to our country.
Eleanor Stofan, your passion for exploration is expanding the limits of scientific knowledge, and your enthusiasm ignites a similar passion in those you meet. Your alma mater is proud to honor you. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the ancient royal charter of the College of William & Mary in Virginia, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Ellen, would you please speak to us?
Thank you. It's great to be back with you here at my, even though I'm choking, at my college home in Williamsburg. I have many special memories of this place, and I'm incredibly honored to receive this recognition.
Being with you here today is coming full circle, back to my academic roots and to the place where my journey as a planetary scientist began. I'm reflecting on all of the times I sat in this very hall, just like you. It was here that I came as a freshman, full of enthusiasm and eager to learn, to register for classes. I know I'm dating myself, but we actually had to do it in person back then with cards. I know you guys don't know what those things are. My 4 years here were an amazing journey that's shaped my life on so many levels. I met my husband, Tim, here. I also made lifelong friendships during my time here, which I cherish to this day. 2 of my children graduated from William & Mary, and my nephew is currently a student here. William & Mary was and continues to be part of the fabric of my life. My undergraduate experience cemented my love of geology, but more importantly, it nurtured and continued to ignite my love of learning. From professors like Steve Clement and Jerry Johnson, who always had time for me, to English and art history classes that taught me to write and look deeper for meaning. I learned more about myself as a person. I learned how to be a researcher, a questioner, and even a singer of silly sorority songs. I did not imagine back then that I would be here before you today. I'm honored and humbled to receive this honorary degree on this special day. Because Charter Day is really my favorite William & Mary event, and it all revolves around the phrase, "in all time coming." To me, it represents the timelessness of this place, that every generation has and will receive an exemplary education, will give back to their country, community, and alma mater, will trip on the brick sidewalks, and will be a member of the tribe in all time coming. I hope that all of you here today will feel the same way, for an institution only thrives if those who love it cherish it and give back with time and treasure. While William & Mary shall be for all time coming, it is not a static place. It grows and becomes better with each passing year because of those who came before us, those who are here today, and those who will make their mark in the future. An institution relies on its faculty to teach and inspire, but it's the students and the alumni who are the heart and soul. Take this day to celebrate those who had a vision centuries ago of a place of learning in the Virginia colony, who understood the importance of creating a research university, a place where students could go to be challenged and to challenge, and then go out and change the world. William & Mary is the alma mater of a nation, not only because of the founding fathers who attended, but because of all who've gone on to lead this great nation and to make contributions in their respective fields. I have the good fortune of working at an institution that is also much larger than all of us who work there. NASA's brand is one of the most recognized around the world. For so many, we represent the most powerful aspects of humankind, the wish to explore beyond the horizon. Last summer, we flew a spacecraft past Pluto after a lonely 9.5-year journey. The feeling at the flyby was electrifying. NASA received congratulatory messages from all over the world. People not only fell in love with Pluto's heart, they shared that with all the strife in the world, the mission inspired them and showed them what humankind is capable of achieving. NASA now has our sights on a journey to Mars, fulfilling the President's goal of sending humans to the red planet and safely returning them in the 2030s. This isn't just the subject of science fiction, it's real, and NASA is on it. Just last fall, we announced evidence of liquid water on the surface of present-day Mars. In our lifetimes, NASA and its partners hope to answer some of our most fundamental questions about life beyond Earth. Does Mars harbor microbial life today? Was there life on the red planet billions of years ago? What can Mars teach us about Earth's past, present, and future? And could Mars one day be a safe home for humans? The students here today at William & Mary are among the Mars generation. One of you in this room could be among the first humans to set foot on Mars in all time coming. NASA is not only tasked with scientific space discovery and exploration. We're working with scientists worldwide to better understand the dramatic and concerning changes happening to our home planet because of climate change. These are some of the toughest questions facing us today: how Earth is changing and how our planet could change in the future, and how humanity can cope with and overcome these changes. From rising sea levels and record temperatures to the availability of fresh water, NASA is helping to unravel the complexities of our planet from its core to the highest reaches of its atmosphere. What we learn about the other planets in our solar system, such as Venus and Mars, provide vital clues about processes at work here on Earth. We are using NASA data to help make countries around the world more resilient to the effects of climate change, including severe weather events and drought, already happening today. There are those who say, why should we fund space exploration when we have potholes to fill? Of course, I believe in safe roads, and NASA is responsible for a great deal of highway safety research, but we also continue to reach for the stars. It's too simplistic to make this about potholes versus black holes. It's like saying, why do we need electricity when we have fire? NASA isn't just about space exploration and humans on Mars. We're about making life better here at home through endeavoring to do great and challenging things. NASA's not just about Tang, for those old enough to remember that not-so-tasty space drink. There are many examples of things in our day-to-day lives that came about as a result of technologies sponsored by NASA. It was just a couple of weeks ago that our area was blasted by a monster snowstorm, dubbed Snowzilla by the Washington Post. Forecasters utilizing NASA technology and data nailed this particular storm, its timing, its path, and the amount of accumulation. That allowed people to make plans well in advance, minimizing risk. NASA has 19 current orbiting missions that observe Earth. In the last 2 decades, we've made great progress to help researchers understand the global impacts of El Nino and human-based carbon emissions. NASA research has also led to improvements in GPS technology, water purification, drone research, anti-icing systems, artificial limbs, better software, food safety. We're even growing lettuce in space. And the list goes on. By going to the moon, working every day on the International Space Station, moving humans towards Mars, we improve life here on Earth. One of the things I treasure most about my years at William & Mary and now my time at NASA is that the focus is on understanding the unknown. As humans, we're innately curious. With our new James Webb Space Telescope that launches in 2018, we'll be able to look almost as far back as the Big Bang. Our Kepler Space Telescope has identified thousands of planets revolving around other stars. What are the origins of the universe? What lies ahead for humankind? Instead of stifling the curiosity that has propelled us to where we are today and led to technological innovations too numerous to count, we should celebrate it and invest in it. It's our future. Yes, we can fill potholes and send a spacecraft to Pluto. As I mentioned, we have significant challenges ahead, such as addressing climate change and putting humans on Mars. For this, it's all hands on deck. So recently, I saw a quote from a very senior judicial official. Why do we need diversity in physics classes? The answer is simple. Because science is for everyone. Because we need all the brain power we can get. Because relying on less than all of your population is no way to get anything done. Diversity brings different ways of looking at and solving problems. I'm not talking about diversity for diversity's sake. By casting a wider net, we invite more ideas, solutions, and perspectives. This speeds up the process, and we don't have time to waste. And it's not just about diversity, it's about inclusion. It's not enough to open the door. You have to welcome the people who come through it and make sure they're safe. We have a responsibility as a society to ensure that everyone, regardless of their gender, skin color, sexual preference, or economic status, has the opportunity to contribute and that everyone's potential is realized. William & Mary knew that when we opened our doors to women in 1918 and when we finally integrated people of color so many years later. Human capital is our most precious resource. Everyone is welcome and needed on this amazing journey. Let me tell you about a woman named Katherine Johnson. She was born not too far from here in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, in 1918. She was known as the girl who loved to count. She was fascinated by numbers. By the time she was 10 years old, she was a freshman in high school, an amazing feat at a time when schools for African Americans usually stopped at 8th grade, if you were lucky enough to go to school at all. Katherine graduated from high school when she was 14, and after years as a teacher and a stay-at-home mom, she went to work for NASA's predecessor, the NACA, to calculate and measure results of wind tunnel tests right here at the Langley Research Center in Hampton. It was considered a tedious job, but not for Katherine and the other women who were hired at the time. So Katherine put her math skills to work as a counter, or in those days, they called these women computers. As a human computer, Katherine calculated the trajectory for the first American in space, Alan Shepard. Even after NASA began using electronic computers, John Glenn asked that she personally recheck the calculations made by new computers before his flight aboard Friendship 7. That's how valuable she was. She is one of the unsung women African-American heroes of our country who didn't just carry on, she helped to carry the nation's space program, despite what she had to deal with living at that time in this place. She went to meetings where she wasn't invited and not totally welcome because she knew that she belonged and they needed her skills. Last November 24th, Katherine received the nation's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, from President Barack Obama. I hope her story inspires you as much as it does me. In your life, there will be likely people who will tell you or give you a clear message. You aren't welcome here. You don't belong in this room. But you do belong. Channel your inner Katherine Johnson. You have a lot to contribute, and we need you to solve the tough challenges that we have as a society. Together, as a tribe, we can do anything. William and Mary is giving you the foundation to contribute so much and is making sure that you have the opportunity. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity and that I can be with you here today. Whether it's cracking open rocks in the geology department here at William and Mary, or falling in love with numbers, or serving in whatever direction your passions take you. Find your calling and pursue it with everything you've got. Remember to thank those who cheered you along the way, and then come full circle by giving back. That way the cycle will go on in all time coming. Thank you.
Ellen, your alma mater is very, very proud of you. Thank you for those marvelous words. Keep us moving toward great and challenging things, drawing on the ability of all who are able to contribute. Each year at Charter Day, we recognize members of our faculty and our student body of compelling ability. People who have vision and wisdom in the tradition of our alumnus, Thomas Jefferson. We also recognize a student who, in the spirit of our alumnus, James Monroe, has a powerful commitment to good citizenship and service. Vice President for Student Affairs, Ginger Ambler, Provost Michael Halloran, Stephen Bennett, class of 2014, and Amy Howard, PhD, class of 2005, will assist in the award presentations. Ginger.
The second of 3 United States presidents to graduate from the College of William and Mary, James Monroe lived according to a principle summarized in his first inaugural address: from a just responsibility, I will never shrink. The Owens Foundation has made possible a student award recognizing service and leadership in the tradition of President Monroe. This year, we honor Hallie Westland. Hallie, you have delved into social issues while addressing immediate needs in our local community. Most powerfully, your involvement in Lafayette Kids has driven your desire to help right the wrongs in our education system. Knowing that education is a key to ending poverty, you have extended your reach beyond Williamsburg with an internship focused on educational disparity in North Carolina. And in 2 visits to Morocco, you furthered education and the empowerment of children in a rural community, volunteering at the Moroccan Association of Human Rights. You have become involved in the very issues that deny or create opportunity for children in education, applying knowledge with your dedication to advancing the goal of full access and a quality education for all.
Hallie, thank you. Here is your James Monroe Prize in Civic Leadership. It's very elegant. Congratulations. Well done.
The Thomas Jefferson Prize in Natural Philosophy goes to a William & Mary student of superior academic performance and potential for future achievement, and whose work embraces the 18th century idea of natural philosophy. This year, the faculty deemed 2 students superior. Isaac Alty, will you please join me? Isaac, you have majored in 2 difficult and disparate subjects, chemistry and ancient Greek, and excelled at both. You were selected for the Blanton Mercer Bruner Award of the Virginia Academy of Science as the most outstanding junior in chemistry, and you also won one of the top prizes in the Classical Studies Department, the Selby Corey Prize for Academic Excellence. Last, but by no means least, you were awarded the Anne Callahan Chapel Award at the Phi Beta Kappa induction ceremony in December as the most outstanding initiate. Planning on a career in medicine, you will, we are certain, make a superb physician.
Well, Isaac, simply amazing. You are an inspiration to us all. And here is your certificate. Congratulations.
And our second winner of the Thomas Jefferson Prize in Natural Philosophy is Andrew David Halloran. Andy, please join me. Andy, as some of you may have figured out, is indeed my son, and I'm extraordinarily proud. As a double major in biology and computational and applied mathematics, you have excelled in your formal coursework, maintaining a stellar GPA. You have shown a love for research, working with several professors in their labs and presenting papers at national professional conferences. You have received a Goldwater Scholarship and have been named a Beckman Scholar. This past autumn, you co-captained William & Mary's iGEM team to first place in this international competition in genetic engineering. Already admitted to the doctoral program at Cambridge University, you will undoubtedly go on to make important discoveries in the biological sciences.
Andy, what you've already accomplished is simply amazing. You're going to go on to do truly great deeds, I predict. And you have good genes.
The Thomas Jefferson Teaching Award was established as a tribute to those teachers who, through encouragement and example, helped to shape the young Jefferson. The award honors younger members of the faculty who have inspired in their students a love of learning. This year, we honor Professor Jeremy Pope. I know we all love having small classes, and that some students, such as myself, hope to have a professor that will transform their minds and profoundly impact their worldview. I consider myself lucky that I found that in Professor Pope. I do not remember just one time in his office, but the many times I would go seeking advice. It didn't matter if it was a paper, which history classes to take next, hopefully his, or advice about the transition from college to career. He would always take the time to listen, but let me share one story. After selecting a topic for my final paper in Professor Pope's freshman seminar, he set me loose in swim to discover more about the settlement of Kerma. I came back inspired, so inspired that I was sitting in his office rattling on about both sides' arguments. As I sat there debating myself, Professor Pope continued to ask questions and probe, stoking my intellectual fire, because he knew I was hooked. He pressed me to evaluate the evidence of each side, determine my view, and develop my voice, lessons that I still use today. In every class, Professor Pope challenges his students to gaze beyond what they believe to be true. Again and again, he inspires them to rethink their world while building each student's confident voice that carries them far beyond the brick paths of our historic campus. I feel lucky to count myself among these students, and am proud to introduce to you today my teacher, mentor, and close friend, Professor Jeremy Pope.
Well, Jeremy, by any measure, you are a master teacher in the grand William and Mary tradition. It's a blessing to have you in our midst. Congratulations.
Even though this award is named after Thomas Jefferson, it was created as a tribute to those who taught Jefferson when he was a student. So, in the spirit of this award, I'd like to use my 3 minutes here today to honor the 3 teachers who influenced me most when I was a student. All 3 actually taught me quite early in my academic career, when I was in high school, in fact. 2 of these 3 exemplary teachers are themselves William and Mary alums, and all 3 are here in the audience today. Tom Fay, William and Mary class of 1968, taught me Spanish, and the skills that he imparted to me have been as useful to my subsequent career as anything else that I have learned in my life. At first glance, this statement may surprise some of my colleagues. After all, of the various primary sources that I've consulted in my research as an historian, none have been written in Spanish. In fact, it may even come as a surprise to Mr. Fay himself to hear that I'm using the skills he taught me primarily for the purpose of translating ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. But Mr. Fay taught language as if it were a kind of beautiful architecture built of clauses and modifiers. This structural understanding of language gave me a decided advantage when I began to translate difficult primary sources as an historian. Bonnie Fay, William and Mary class of 1970, taught me English literature and creative writing. But in another level, she also modeled for me creative teaching. No one has ever designed assignments with more creative flair than Mrs. Fay did. Her assignments brought text to life by combining them with the visual and performing arts. For those students in my courses who have particularly enjoyed our various group work assignments, engaging historical texts, you owe your thanks to Bonnie Fay. Last, but certainly not least, there's Debbie Godden, who also taught me English literature during my high school years. When I tell you that Mrs. Godden was an enthusiastic teacher, I mean this in the fullest ancient Greek sense of the word. Enthusiasm as almost a kind of spirit possession. There were moments in Mrs. Godden's classes when you sensed from the tone of her voice and the energy with which she darted around the room that she was telling you something of tremendous importance, not for the exam, but for the world and your place in it. I've tried to emulate Miss Godden in my own teaching. On the evaluations that students have written for my courses here at the college, the word passionate appears with some frequency, so much so that my wife and I have a running joke that passionate is the William and Mary students' polite euphemism for crazy. But I'd like to think that the students here are also reacting to some of that spirit that Debbie Godden passed on to me. Now, you may have noticed that none of these three exemplary teachers instructed me in the specific subjects that I teach and research today. Ironic as that may seem, it highlights the value of a liberal arts education, one that prepares us for the kinds of opportunities that we haven't already imagined for our lives. The liberal arts are, in short, liberating. Thank you.
The Jefferson Award is the most prestigious honor bestowed upon a faculty member who has demonstrated a deep devotion and outstanding service to the college, and whose life, character, and influence on the college exemplify the principles of Thomas Jefferson. This year, we honor Professor Lisa Meyer. Dedicated, supportive, inspiring. Dr. Lisa Meyer exudes these traits in her work and life. As my dissertation advisor and mentor, Lisa demonstrated a deep commitment to her craft and its relevance in a complex world. She modeled social responsibility through her unflagging advocacy for equality for all. And she taught me how to bring out the best in students, not by demanding it, but rather by showing up prepared, passionate, and engaged. When I was in the middle of my dissertation, when it made no sense to me or anyone else, when I wanted to walk away, Lisa was my guide. She devoted untold hours to reading and rereading my chapters, offering incisive feedback and much-needed criticism, all the while encouraging me to persist and to take care of my well-being. Because of her mentorship, I completed my dissertation and turned it into a book. Because of her example, I chose a career dedicated to social change. Because of her, I'm a better teacher, administrator, scholar, and person. Please join me in celebrating the incomparable Dr. Lisa Meyer.
Well, Lisa, teacher, mentor, scholar, good citizen, all to extraordinary degree, you are a great, great force at William and Mary, and we are grateful to have you here. And I have
Thank you, Amy and President Reedley. There's no teleprompter, so someone shout out if I get close to going over 3 minutes. This is a very unexpected award for me, and I certainly wouldn't have guessed this might happen when I arrived here in 1994. And 1994 was just after Sharon Bottoms, Virginia resident, lost custody of her son, Tyler Dustow, to her mother, on the grounds that Sharon was a lesbian, and her intimate relationship with her partner, April Wade, made her, in effect, a criminal under Virginia's crimes against nature law, at least according to the Virginia Supreme Court that affirmed that ruling in 1994. And at that moment, I wasn't sure I would stay here. But 22 years later, I remain at William & Mary, and I'm glad I did stay. Things have changed since that moment. The U.S. Supreme Court struck down laws like Virginia's that had been used to imprison LGBTQ people or to remove children from lesbian mothers. And in 2015, same-sex, same-gender marriage became legal across the country, including here in Virginia. And the efforts of students, faculty, staff, and the administration here at William & Mary were finally successful when the college adopted anti-discrimination policies that include transgender individuals, something the Commonwealth, unfortunately, has yet to do. Virginia remains one of 20 states which does not include sexuality, gender identity, and gender expression in its anti-discrimination laws. Thus, we stand at the crux of change, not yet fully realized. And we stand witness to several other significant moments. The seemingly sanctioned violence by police in various localities against black men and boys, whether armed or not, has sparked the emergence of a powerful movement, Black Lives Matter. A movement initially begun by queer women of color, Alicia Garza and Opal Tometi. A movement that also has brought notice to the increase in violence toward and murder of transgender women of color. A movement that students are making more visible on our campus through a conference this spring. And a movement reminding us that the rights of all citizens in our democracy, in our nation, must be recognized, and that the bodies and the lives of those residing in our country are sacred. And two other moments I must gesture toward that bring my acceptance remarks in conclusion back to the founding father for whom this award was named, Thomas Jefferson. One of the key stances held by Jefferson was the imperative that church and state must remain separate. As he remarked in a letter to the Baptists of Danbury, Connecticut in 1802, quote, "I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people, which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibit the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state," end quote. At a moment when some women are denied contraception by pharmacists who argue that their religious beliefs prohibit them from dispensing such legally prescribed medications, when clinics providing reproductive health care for women, including abortion, which remains legal in this country, have been bombed or the site of shootings, and when their doctors and staff are being daily assaulted, and then when there was a firestorm over the acceptance of Syrian refugees into this country, with some governors even moving to close their state's borders to such refugees, putting into stark relief the anti-Islamic sentiments of some in our nation. At this moment, I think it's important to recall that in the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom that Jefferson authored, and which became the foundation of the religious freedom protections later delineated in our Constitution, he specifically mentioned Mohammedans, or Muslims, as among those whose faiths must be protected. Thus, in closing, in the spirit of this award, I hope in this special place, William & Mary, that provides the space where the leadership this kind of work requires is produced, we might pay particular attention to Thomas Jefferson's insistence that the separation of church and state was critical to the continuing vibrancy and vitality of our democracy. I thank you for your indulgence, and the college administration, my colleagues, our staff, and my students for this honor. It's my privilege to accept and hope that this new year will indeed move us past the crux of change to its realization. Thank you very much.
It's my job to be sure nothing is left on this table. Former Jefferson Award recipients up here or out there, in honor of your signal contributions to William and Mary, please stand and let us salute you. Stand up. Thank you. We come to closing remarks from me. So William and Mary will be 323 years old next Monday. King William and Queen Mary actually signed our charter on February the 8th, 1693. Well, just how old is 323? By human standards, old, really old. By age 323, we can reasonably assume little would be left of the standard issue human, perhaps a few teeth, maybe a few bone fragments. But William and Mary, though created and nurtured and driven forward by humans, is not bound by our mortal limits. William and Mary is a university, a robustly healthy university, and a great university is just beginning to get in gear at 323. Take Oxford and Cambridge. Oxford had its 323rd birthday almost 7 centuries ago. Cambridge almost 6 centuries ago. Both Oxford and Cambridge remain quite vibrant in 2016. This is to say, most institutions of higher education are remarkably durable institutions, remarkably durable creations of the human mind and spirit. Universities are far, far more stable and long-lived than even the greatest corporations. Universities even outlive a lot of nation states, to say nothing of most other not-for-profit institutions. And I think this is especially so if college or universities have been tempered by the fires of war and privation, and like the phoenix have risen from the ashes. Well, William and Mary has been so tempered. Both the Revolutionary War and the Civil War did their level best to kill us and came within a hair of success. The capital of Virginia left us, heading to the Holy City in Richmond. It left us during the Revolutionary War to avoid British invaders who went to Richmond anyway. But when the capital left Williamsburg, it took the rich economic, political, and social resources of a capital with it, the resources that had previously graced Williamsburg. Our most famous alumnus, whom we've heard mentioned this afternoon, defected to create a competing institution after having been brilliantly educated by his alma mater. Civil War was particularly devastating in its impact on our campus, terribly damaging our buildings, scattering to the four winds our students, faculty, and staff. And there have been times, particularly after the Civil War, when William and Mary didn't have 2 nickels to rub together or enough students to keep the school going. But throughout, the alma mater of the nation has proved to be more than simply durable and long-lived. It's proved to be nigh on to indestructible and capable of constantly rising to new heights. This university really is a phoenix. It is one tough bird. And I believe students now at the college will see their alma mater during their lives rise to truly extraordinary heights in their century, the 21st century. And one reason this university will rise to those heights is the support, the love, and the respect that its graduates will give it. So I really believe William and Mary, born on February the 8th, 1693, is just beginning to roll. So in those elegantly inscrutable, if inspiring words, everybody, let's keep harking upon the gale, whatever on earth that may mean. No birthday is complete without singing happy birthday. The time has come. The intonations will now do the deed. Thank you very much, intonations. The college is pleased. Once again, students, please leave your mark for all time coming by signing your names to the 2016 Charter Day scroll. Once signed, it will be placed in the university archives. Also, pick up your Charter Day pins. Pins and scrolls are located on both sides of this hall as you leave. Now let's stand for the alma mater. And during the recessional, audience, please stay where you are until the platform party has escaped. A very happy Charter Day 2016 to us all.
Hark the students' voices swelling, strong and true and true and clear. Alma mater's love they're telling, ringing far and near. William and Mary, loved of old, hark upon the gale. Hear the thunder of our chorus, Alma mater hail. God our Father, hear our voices, listen to sound through our cries. Bless the college of our fathers, let her never die. William and Mary, loved of old, hark upon the gale. Hear the thunder of our chorus, Alma mater hail. William and Mary, loved of old, hark Dear college, we give praise to thee, to pledge ourselves whate'er befalls, to pledge unfailing loyalty. Our hearts are with thee, dear William and Mary, however far we stray. Our noble college, hear us now, thy children sing to thee today. Dear college, old in years and fame, and richly old in honors too, time shall not dull the shining name, whose gleam our songs will e'er renew. And as years go by, dear William and Mary, thy fame will never cease. But each new year rejoice to see thy children's praise to thee increase. We honor thee not for our gain, but to make known thy majesty, thy truth and courage that remain, however harsh the fates may be. As through troublous years, dear William and Mary, our country